Hello awesome people of YouTube, welcome back to another game of StarCraft 2. This is going to be HeroMarine versus Liquid Bunny, and this is going to be played on Dusk Towers. So we are going to be doing a TvT here. Now just a bit of details. Liquid Bunny obviously on Team Liquid, and he is from Denmark, and HeroMarine on Team MacLobuzz Sports, that is, and he is from Germany. So in the last game, you've already missed your chance, so at this point, spoilers are coming. In the last game, we had HeroMarine just absolutely outnumbering our bunny here. And it did result in pretty much getting forced out of the game because he ended up destroying Command Center, which was pretty crucial to his economy. And that caused a lot of problems. Now, pretty much similar start as the last game. Here we do have the gas coming down pretty much the same or a little bit earlier time as the barracks, which is pretty standard. It does provide the Terran with enough gas to actually produce Reapers as soon as the barracks come up. And we do have the scouting SCV again. It does seem that HeroMarine is, and by the way, for this cast and the next one, if there's a game 3, I will be addressing him as Hero just to avoid any confusion with Marines, because that is obviously a big hindering factor that I had in the last game. Now this SCV is going to be aware that the extra expansion is coming out now, so the timing is going to be known, and it is actually a pretty similar timing for both players. In fact, it looks almost identical to me. Does look like Bunny has it by about a second earlier. Now the SCV is on the way back now. Now keep in mind that because Marine, or Hero rather, went ahead and scouted out with one SCV, he is going to be at a very slight economical disadvantage to Bunny, and that is simply because he had one SCV less on the mining line. It's not a huge amount, but at the same time it can play a part. We're going to have some Reaper versus Reaper action, and this pretty much results in whoever's running away, whoever got hit first is the one that gets killed. Does force it back out. There's 2 Reapers on the field right now. Is it going to continue with this production? I'm not quite sure. I honestly don't think so. There is a barracks or a factory on the way, and it does look like Bunny's factory is a little bit earlier again. So he is going to have it a little bit earlier. And there is already a double gas for Bunny, whereas if you look at Hero, he doesn't have it. So here we go. HeroMarine is going to spot that there is 2 gases already on the field. He's also going to spot this starport, which is quite significant, and the fact that he managed to delay it. So the question is, how is Hero going to respond? And he responds with a command center and a second refinery of his own. A 1-1-1 being executed by both of these players. Double Destiny Cloudfist builds here. And the damage that Hero is doing right now is actually starting to become a little bit significant. There's 5 SCVs destroyed already. A total of 5 SCVs dropped with these 2 Reapers. Very worth it indeed. And that was actually probably one of the best early trades you could have possibly pulled off with that. 2 Reapers for the cost of 1 Reaper, 2 Marines and 5 SCVs. Quite a good exchange. Does look like he has a Hellion on the way. Now this Hellion is not going to be able to get into the base simply because there is the block. So as you can see, backing on up now. 1 Viking on the way. And looks like a medevac is the choice of production from Bunny, with a Cyclone here just in case, potentially here to destroy any Liberator play. And there we go, we do have a Hellion and 6 Marines on the way with this medevac. We're going to follow it just a little bit, see where it goes, see what it does. Now keep in mind, we do have the command center just about complete for Hero, and we're going to assume that Bunny is not aware of it. We'll see what kind of damage is done by this medevac. If he'll be able to clean up a full mineral line, this is going to be quite significant. It's going to put him straight back into the game. He sees the command center. He sees a siege tank. He He sees more barracks being produced also. And he does decide to lift this medevac on out of here, but not fast enough. There is 2 Vikings, and they do destroy the medevac. It's quite a significant loss at this point. I do believe that hero is quite far ahead at this point. Looking at the lost units tab, there we go. 2 Reapers for so much resources wasted from Liquid Bunny. Bunny's gonna really want to do something about this. He is quite disadvantaged at this point. He did have earlier gas, but at the same time, he's lost so many units and did absolutely no harass of his own. Now there is a turret in each of the bases also, so that's something to keep in mind. So obviously we're not going to be expecting any significant Banshee play if we do see it at all. A reactor on the way here, so it's either going to be double Liberators or double medevacs. I'm going to assume that it's going to be medevacs. But then again, it doesn't have a huge amount of barracks, so it could be Liberators also. More barracks on the way here. 1-1 being produced for both players also. Stim also on the way, so they're pretty much starting to tech up quite heavily right now. There's a lot of upgrades being made and a lot of passive play going on from both of them. There is a third base already down for Hero, and Bunny's one is just going down right now, and it is going to get spotted perfectly with this scan. Very good timing to do that. So he's going to be aware exactly of when Bunny's expansion came down. He's going to see that he's quite far ahead with that. And looking at the income tab, there we go. About 50% higher simply because of that extra command center already being in production and almost fully saturated at this point. Now going back to the production tabs, so long tabs here just simply because of the different amount of units that are being produced. There's now 6 refineries up for HeroMarine, and actually Bunny is the exact same. So going to be expecting a lot of gas usage out of both of these players. And there is an armory on the way also for Hero. So the question is going to be, is he going to be using that for upgrades for the siege tanks? I do believe so. Stim pack is going to be complete. Doesn't appear that there's going to be any sort of timing push with the stim. And just a note, Hero's Marines do not have the combat shield upgrades as of yet. He just started it now. So his Marines are going to be a little bit weaker. Which also means that at the moment, with 45 health and 1 armor, a siege tank without any upgrades will one-shot the Marines. With combat shields, that means that they do need 2 hits to finish them off, which is quite significant if you think about it. It is a bit of a reload time. Does mean that 2 siege tanks, instead of taking out 2 small units of groups, they will be only able to take out 1 small group. So the combat shields are going to be quite essential to get as soon as possible. There is a sensor tower going down for both players actually, so they are complete now. They're there for early warnings. So something I noticed, definitely, the Terran versus Terran game style is a lot more passive than, for example, Zerg versus anything, or even Terran versus Protoss is a lot more aggressive than this. And this is probably very heavily impacted by the fact that Terrans generally like to turtle a little bit early on, and then once they get those second and third bases up, that's when they start to become quite a powerhouse of production. They can pretty much double their income by throwing down a few mules. They have a huge amount of production capability. And there we go, losing a few units here. Let's have a quick look at the units lost tab. Just 5 Terrans or 5 Marines also lost for Hero since we last looked. So still, Hero is on a better state in terms of lost units, but at the same time, this late in the game, there's been so much damage done since then, or so much economy built up, that I wonder, is it going to make any difference? There is a big group of Marines here. Combat shields are done for both players. Does look like level 1, sorry, that's level 2 actually, ground weapons and shields are going to be done very, very shortly for Hero. I don't think he's going to want to engage until that's up. He does. They both also have vehicle weapons, one about to be completed. I think the best player or the best engage here is going to be for the one who's already sieged up and or at least put down his siege tanks. Now, free marine losing here. Now these guys are going to get cleaned up if they don't stay out of the siege fire. Now all of the siege tanks are now dropped. There's a lot more siege tanks for Bunny. That is definitely going to be a huge impact here. All of these units from Bunny streaming straight in here and an absolute cleanup going down. This is absolutely huge right now. Bunny is in such a better position. And I wonder, is this because of Hero's extra command center? Is that why he ended up losing so many or having such a disadvantaged army? Now level 3, both armor and attacks are now on the way for Hero. But at the same time, the big massive advantage for Bunny, he has a huge army advantage, and also he is going to be rushing straight into the base here. He's going to land behind here, possibly do a bit of economic damage. Actually, it's only mules here. The SCVs get pulled back before they do anything. And oh my god, this command center, or this planetary fortress even, getting sieged by all of these siege tanks from behind. Now you might think, okay, so he's repairing his planetary fortress here, but at the same time, he's lost 5 SCVs off the back of that, and he's also losing a lot of minerals repairing it. So question is, how worth it is it? And a very interesting question indeed. He's losing so much minerals out of it. And there we go, the engage going off here. These Marines are all on the bottom of the high ground, and funnily enough, he does end up cleaning pretty much all of these siege tanks. Yeah, every single one of them. So the tides have now turned. Now, all of these reinforcements streaming in for Bunny. Now this command center got spotted pretty much straight away. This is the 5th base for Hero, and the 4th one is already fully established for Bunny. He is starting his 5th command center at this point. And let's see how this next engage is going to be playing out. It does look like Bunny has a 40-ish supply lead, which could be quite significant. But at the same time, level 3 weapons and armor is going to be completed for Hero very, very shortly. There is level 2 vehicle weapons on the way, which means that once that is up, all of the Marines will once again be one-shotted by siege tanks. And that is going to be playing a huge part. But it doesn't look like Bunny is waiting for that. He's going straight in here. 2 siege tank lines just standing there. This is no man's land right here. Absolutely no go unless you want to get absolutely blown the hell up. 60 damage, level 2 already complete for Hero, and bringing these siege tanks up here again. And both of the Terran players at this point have 2 siege tanks, or 2 siege weapons complete, which means that Marines are absolutely at a huge disadvantage here. What I'm wondering is, why is there no Marauders? They would be able to tank this up quite a lot better. But maybe they are just throwing all of their gas into their siege play, although there is quite a lot of it stacking at the same time. So honestly, I don't know what is going to be going on here. It does look like Marine and siege tank play is just dominating right now, and a huge cleanup of Marines there. I do believe that was about 7 or 8 Marines there, just got blown up instantly. And Liquid Bunny now looking to potentially get into this base. He is going to be aware that there's a base here, sending off a small group of Marines, putting down these siege tanks, and hello! All of these Marines are going to get cleaned up right here, and they're done. Now these Marines, on the other hand, for Bunny, are also going to get cleaned up from the right hand side. All of these siege tanks already prepared and nuking them away. The supply difference has now been completely removed, and oh my god, these siege tanks are getting cleaned up very, very quickly. Now they're going to want to lift some of these tanks up before they get destroyed. These stimmed Marines are getting caught by the siege. And at this point, it's still anyone's game. It's 5 bases to 5 bases. It does look like Hero's planetary fortress here is a little bit better saturated. And Bunny has been putting the hurt on Hero right now. Let's have a look at the upgrades. It does look like they left it at 2 siege weapons. That is enough to take out any Marine. Even if they get 3 shields, it's not going to be enough. So they don't bother wasting any resources on that. Now, if you look at Hero, he did actually get 3 armor. Not going to be that significant versus tanks, but I suppose versus Marines, it is going to be playing a little bit of a part. Now, I'm hoping that these players are going to diverge a little bit out of this Marine and Siege Tank play. It's not turning out to be very diverse, but it is very action-packed indeed. A huge amount of damage being done. Let's have a look at the units tab. We have 16 medevacs for Bunny and 12 medevacs for Marine. And a little bit of a siege tank advantage also for Bunny. Now, landing these siege tanks first, he does manage to get these siege tanks down first, so he's going to be at a bit of an advantage in terms of nuking. All of the Marines getting absolutely decimated for Hero. Since the tanks came down first, a very good engage, and now is Bunny's advantage. He's again at a 40 supply lead. Actually, that was 40 exactly for a while, and it's going to be a while before Hero is going to be able to reinforce his army again and get to the same numbers as Bunny is on. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it's all about who puts down the siege tanks first, or who has them engaged already and firing first. Because don't forget, every single shot from a siege tank could potentially kill about 6 or 7 Marines. At that point, if you do get the early shots, which, you know, let's say even 3 siege tanks get early shots, that's potentially 15 to 20 Marines instantly destroyed. Again, putting down his siege tanks first. This is huge. 2 times in a row now. He does manage to lose one of his siege tanks, but at the same time, a huge amount of Marines taken out for Hero. Very good timing and good reactions from Bunny. Now notice that Hero's, what is this? This is a 6th base at this point, did come down later than Bunny's. Bunny already has his 6th base mining and basically just chugging out minerals. Does look like we do have, actually this base is not mined out at all. There's quite a few minerals here. Not quite sure why he abandoned it so quickly. Probably doesn't have enough SCVs for it. And there we go again, a huge engage, all of the siege tanks in the back, firing away, destroying pretty much all the Marines. Boy, you wouldn't want to be a Marine in this fight. Not at all. And looking at supply, again, Bunny at a 40 supply advantage. Doing a crazy amount of damage at this point. Putting down his tanks. And level 3 going down for Bunny at this point. He is going to be trying to take out the siege tanks first. I'm not quite sure how much significance it's going to offer for Bunny, but I suppose since this is the play that they're doing, this is all that they're using right now, I suppose it makes sense. Now, I did see a tech lab going down. I wonder, is he going to finally produce some Marauders at this point? Honestly, I really hope so. I think that he is going to start producing them. Otherwise, it would make no sense to make a tech lab. But there we go. This is now starting to get cleaned up. A few siege tanks hitting on the planetary fortress. Oh my god, the siege tanks are going to be landing right on top with a few Marines as well. This is going to be quite significant now, losing a lot of units, and all of these are now cleaned up. So there were a few Marines still in play for Bunny. Does manage to clean up a few units and a few medevacs with it. And there we go. Hero is now aware of this base. He knows this is fully saturated. He sees there's another command center on the way here. Is going to be landing that very shortly on the high ground here. And wow, what an absolutely action-packed Marine and siege tank play. Still no Marauders on the way though. And we do have the level 3 siege weapons about to be complete for Bunny. Let's have a look at the upgrades again. Now, still a fairly large advantage. It is about 60 supply again for Bunny. He does seem to be always at that roughly 40 supply advantage. Not quite sure how he's managing to keep it so consistent every now and then. splitting up his Marines. There we go. And there we go. These Marines, did I just see these Marines surviving a full siege tank hit? 65 damage. They should definitely be one-shotting these Marines. It's quite interesting. Oh, maybe that was a splash damage. So maybe the splash damage does a bit less, which would make sense. But there we go. It does look like Hero had his siege tanks down first, and this is going to be a huge advantage for him. On the other hand, there's a lot more siege tanks for Bunny, so he does manage to take this lead again. Looking at the unit count, there is a total of 7 siege tanks for Bunny, 3 siege tanks now for Hero, just after producing a few more. So the advantage is constantly going down for Bunny. And I'm not sure why he's not doing any sort of harassment around the back of the base. Possibly try to snipe a few of the production buildings. Now, there we go. Bunny is starting to make siege tank armor as well. Now again, more siege tanks are here for Bunny, so he is going to be able to clean this up, I do believe. Am I wrong? No, not quite. All the Marines did now get cleaned up, so there's 5 siege tanks versus 3 siege tanks on this side. And they are going to decide to back on up here. I'm doing a quick scan here just to see if there's anything in advance. Still, level 1 vehicle plating is going to still take a while. It's not going to be ready for quite some time. Now this planetary fortress almost mined out fully. This base is mined out fully. Now, funny enough, nobody taking the gold bases as of yet. They both seem to be expanding towards their clockwise direction. Now, in terms of supply, again, Bunny is at such a huge advantage here. I really don't know why he's not just pushing ahead. Obviously, he doesn't know that he has such a huge advantage. But at this point, oh, he is in a huge position right now. He does take out all of these reinforcements. This could be game, and there it is indeed. GG has been called. And so ends game number 2 between HeroMarine and Liquid Bunny. That was a 1-to-1 to the series. Bunny showing his absolute dominance with macro. That was absolutely insane. The fact, I think the hindering factor here was the fact that Bunny kept putting down his siege tanks first and managing to get those few extra puck shots at the Marines, taking out big chunks of them at once. So that's pretty much it. My social media links are on the right hand side here, my subscribe button underneath myself, you know the usual, and that's pretty much it. Good luck, have fun, see you in game number 3.